In the last 500 years, one of these has killed roughly 10 times more people than the other, and it's probably not the one you're picturing right now. Today, we're putting volcanoes against earthquakes in a full-damage showdown across 6 rounds. By the end, you'll know exactly which one you should actually be more afraid of. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the Curious Corner, the place where we break down the biggest, weirdest, and most surprising facts about our world. If you're new here, hit subscribe because today's comparison might change how you think about natural disasters completely. First, a quick refresher before we start scoring. An earthquake happens when built-up stress along tectonic plate boundaries suddenly releases, shaking the ground. A volcanic eruption happens when molten rock, gas, and ash escape from below the Earth's crust. Both come from the same source, plate tectonics, but they destroy in very different ways. Let's see who wins each round. Round 1. Death toll. Historically, earthquakes are the far deadlier of the two. The single deadliest earthquake on record, the 1556 Shanxi earthquake in China, killed an estimated 830,000 people, mostly because the region's cave dwellings collapsed on people while they slept. In just the last 100 years, the Tangshan earthquake of 1976 killed around 240,000, and the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami killed close to 230,000 more. Volcanoes, by comparison, have a lower total body count. The deadliest eruption in recorded history, Tambora, in 1815, killed an estimated 90,000 people, but only around 10,000 to 12,000 of those died directly from the eruption itself. The rest died over the following year from global famine, caused by the ash blocking out sunlight and destroying crops worldwide. Result: Round 1 goes to earthquakes by a landslide. Round 2, warning time. Earthquakes strike with essentially zero warning. Seismologists can estimate risk over decades, but they cannot predict the exact moment a quake will hit. 1 second the ground is still, the next it's shaking. Volcanoes are the opposite. Before a major eruption, there are usually days, weeks, or even months of warning signs. Small earthquakes called volcanic tremors, gas emissions, ground swelling. This is exactly why modern volcanic eruptions kill far fewer people than they used to. In 2022, the Hunga Tonga eruption produced one of the most powerful explosions ever recorded, with a shockwave that circled the entire planet, and thanks to monitoring and evacuation, only 6 people died. Result: Round 2 goes to volcanoes. When it comes to seeing the danger coming, volcanoes give us a fighting chance that earthquakes never do. Round 3. Speed and reach. Earthquakes are almost instant. The shaking itself might only last 30 seconds to a couple of minutes, but in that window, buildings collapse and the damage is done. The affected area is usually regional, tens to a few hundred kilometers around the epicenter. Volcanoes can be faster and more localized in one specific way: pyroclastic flows. These are superheated clouds of gas and ash that can move at up to 700 kilometers per hour. In 1902, Mount Pelé's pyroclastic flow destroyed the city of Saint-Pierre in Martinique in under 5 minutes, killing nearly all 29,000 residents almost instantly. But when it comes to reach, volcanoes can go global in a way earthquakes never do. Ash and sulfur dioxide from a major eruption can circle the entire planet and cool temperatures for years. Result: Round 3 is a draw. Earthquakes hit wider regions instantly, but volcanoes can be both faster at close range and far more global in reach. We're halfway through. Stick around because rounds 4 through 6 are where this fight really tips one way. And if you're enjoying this comparison format, subscribe. We're doing more of these. Round 4, economic damage. The 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami in Japan caused approximately $360 billion in damage, making it the costliest natural disaster in modern history. The 2023 Turkey-Syria earthquakes caused over $160 billion in damage. The 2008 Sichuan earthquake cost around $150 billion. Volcanic eruptions, even massive ones, rarely approach these numbers directly, mostly because eruptions tend to happen in less densely built-up areas, and because ash damage, while widespread, is usually less structurally catastrophic than a building collapsing on its foundation. Result: Round 4 goes to earthquakes. When it comes to your wallet, earthquakes are simply the more expensive disaster. Round 5. Long-term global impact. This is where volcanoes pull off their biggest comeback. After Tambora erupted in 1815, the entire planet cooled by about half a degree Celsius. The following year, 1816, became known as the year without a summer. Crops failed across Europe, Asia, and North America. There was snow in June in New England. Food riots broke out. A new strain of cholera emerged and spread globally. Historians estimate the eruption's ripple effects contributed to over 1 million deaths worldwide in the years that followed, deaths that don't even show up in the initial eruption's official death toll. Result: Round 5 goes to volcanoes, decisively. No single earthquake in recorded history has ever reshaped the entire planet's climate the way a major eruption can. Round 6. Secondary disasters. Neither of these disasters usually acts alone. Earthquakes trigger their own chain reactions. Underwater quakes can generate tsunamis, like the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake, where the tsunami killed far more people than the shaking itself. Quakes also cause landslides, like the 1970 Peru earthquake, where a massive avalanche triggered by the shaking buried the entire town of Yungay in minutes. Volcanoes have their own chain reactions, too. Eruptions near ice caps can trigger lahars, fast-moving volcanic mud flows. In 1985, a relatively small eruption of Nevado del Ruiz in Colombia melted glacial ice, sending a lahar down the mountain that buried the town of Armero and killed around 23,000 people, even though the eruption itself was nowhere near as powerful as Tambora or Krakatoa. Result: Round 6 is a draw. Both disasters are just as dangerous for what they trigger afterward as for the initial event itself. Final scorecard. Earthquakes take rounds 1 and 4, volcanoes take rounds 2 and 5, and rounds 3 and 6 end in a draw. So which one actually causes more damage? It depends entirely on the time frame you're measuring. In the short term, over days, weeks, a single event, earthquakes are deadlier and far more expensive. They strike without warning and hit modern infrastructure hardest, which is exactly where our money and population are concentrated. But zoom out to centuries, and volcanoes win in a different way. A single supervolcano eruption has the potential to trigger global famine, mass extinction, and climate collapse, something no earthquake, no matter how powerful, has ever come close to doing. Short-term threat. Earthquakes. Long-term civilization-level threat. Volcanoes. So which one do you think is actually scarier, the one that strikes without warning, or the one that can cool the entire planet? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one. If you liked this comparison, subscribe to The Curious Corner, because we've got a lot more this versus that battles coming. See you in the next video.